On Wednesday, the 15th of November, the finance minister went to Parliament to present the 2024 budget, where he said this budget is Nkunim budget. But the minority is saying it's a bye-bye budget. Others are also saying it's the last burial budget. What do you call it? This is Sauce and Pepper.
This budget is insensitive and out of touch. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Minister, you and members of the economic management team, led by our Vice President, you are leaving behind a bankrupt economy. Mr. Speaker, it is important for us to note that this government is leaving behind a bankrupt economy.
Government says it is turning the corner, creating 2.3 million jobs. But me as a citizen sitting here...
or created?
They say they've created... Okay, so they've created and still creating.
And what happened to the Ukraine-Russia war? In spite of that, they are creating...
that one too happened, yes. But in all of that...
That's good.
Yes.
Please, I agree with the minority. It's a bye-bye budget. Never to see Ofori Atta in his white and deceive us.
But I told that guy, they said that after the IMF thing, he was a goner.
He was a what goner? The president says you.
I mean, I didn't anticipate that.
It's not working for you, but he, the president of the country, the man is working.
No, I was, and like, but I didn't think he would be the one to read this particular budget because from all the discussions that went on, he was supposed to have left their position.
Me, that was when I
by
knew
the IMF time.
That was when I knew Akufo-Addo is a trickster because
you waited that.
No, he told his people that once he presents the 2023 budget, he was going to go.
2022.
Yes, 2022. He was going to go. And now he's doing this
2024 budget.
And all those ministers who were calling for that are now silent. They can't. And that was when I knew no. This man is a trickster.
Wait,
to be able to. But let's look at it realistically. Have they created 2.3 million jobs?
How are you going to check the two? That's the point.
What are we talking about here?
That's the point. That's the problem in Ghana.
How many friends do you have that are still looking for jobs?
Oh, there are a lot of them.
Has any of them, has the number decreased or increased?
It's increasing.
That's all.
It's increasing.
So 2.3 million answered for you.
2.3 million jobs. How many jobs how many people lost their jobs because of so-called banking sector cleanup?
Yeah.
How many jobs have they deprived people of? And how many have they? So you net it. Then you see.
The net, please. There was no.
Let's just accept. Let's accept for the purposes of argument that they've created 2.3 million. How many have they destroyed? How many jobs have they destroyed? With bad economic management, with the ones that they blame on COVID and the ones they are blaming on Russia, Ukraine, the ones that they are using harsh corporate taxes or taxes on business sectors to create.
The one that unemployment debt exchange to collapse businesses because businesses' capitals are locked up.
Let's start counting the jobs that have been lost too.
Please.
Because you can't just be counting the ones you have created. Count the ones you have lost. You have made people lose. And let's net it and see whether you have done me a favor or it's a this favor, whatever. You know, look.
The fact remains.
When we are talking about things like budget and, you know, and Ofori Atta or whoever the finance minister is goes to parliament and goes to read like 3 hours, 3-hour long lecture, and throwing figures around that he himself sometimes he will just fumble about and all of that. It's difficult to come to the barest fact. The fact is Ghanaians are suffering. The fact is people have lost jobs. The fact is inflation, as is reading this budget, is at 38 point some close to 40%.
No, I think it's 31.
Yeah, okay, fine. Inflation is 30. Let's say 30%.
Yeah.
Before that 30% was at 50-something%, going to 40%, it's at 30%. The fact that when we started last year, 2022, dollar was 6 Ghana cedis. You know, so when we are talking these plenty things, let's come back to what the barest fact is. And these are the fact that today's 10,000 Ghana cedis was yesterday's 5,000 Ghana cedis.
No, it was 4,000 cedis.
Or 4,000 Ghana cedis.
It's terrible, though.
That is what we should be thinking. What we should be talking about is since a champions since a champions time
is really far.
Yeah, since a champions time, it is this year that people cannot go and put money in the bank anymore in terms of investment.
Because you're afraid.
You have money in your hands and you're thinking that this money is rotting away because inflation is killing the money.
Yeah.
As at 50%. Exchange rate is burying the money as is in your hands.
If you take it to the bank,
and then you can you can't take it and go and do investment.
Oh my goodness! You can take it to go and do the investment, but you wait when you are going to collect the money.
You know that this is the time that Ofori Atta is people are saying that we can't pay your investment back. We can't pay it back.
Terrible.
They are defaulting.
So when we are going to read budget, it's not about 2.3 million jobs. It's not about all the plenty things. What are you saying to address these things? That's the only glimmer of hope.
You know, before the budget, there was a huge call for not taxing sanitary pads for their non-luxury goods. And now they are saying that for local producers, for local companies who produce sanitary pads, but isn't
it a disgrace, cry? Is it not a disgrace that a whole pressure group developed around taxing sanitary pads in the first place?
Oh no.
I'm saying that isn't it a disgrace that a pressure group had to be developed around it before we start seeing that, oh, debut manyeni ye kra manual from basa. I shouldn't be taxing sanitary pads.
No, but there are so many things that we tax in this country that doesn't make sense because they're basic. Like sanitary pad is actually sanitary pads have been taxed since. We are feeling the worst of it now because inflation is extremely high. So, and the 21.9% VAT and levies is quite a lot. So, if you're going to buy sanitary now today, yes, those days you buy for 6 cedis, it's now 19 cedis.
Can you imagine?
19 Ghana cedis. And how many people can afford that? That's just one pack. You need like 2 in a month. And you have to take 40 cedis of your money for something that you have no control over. From 6 cedis to 19 cedis. That tells you how terrible it is. That tells you how terrible it is. So, yeah, it had to start. Do you get it? Because of how the economy is going. So many things. Like, someone will say, let's start a pressure group for bread. How much were you buying bread in 2022? Right. How much are you buying bread today? Food is like them. Like, in terms of inflation in this country, food is just spiking up and up and up. Whatever you send. So, you know, this is a perfect example. 2022, if you send money to the market, the same 1,000 cedis, you could have bought this bottle of water. This 750 Ghana cedis. This is the bottle you get in 2023. Why?
Or no fault of yours. No fault of yours.
In fact, someone will even say, Master, both the Ghanaians and reducing, no. Because that's how much your money has shrinked. So this is what you could buy with thousands. This is what you can buy with thousands of these. And you come and tell us that you have created 2.3 million jobs. There is economic growth. Economic growth where?
So what? Wait. I'm still asking the question. When you open your mouth to say, I've created, shouldn't you give me a balanced statistics of the people who have lost? How is it that in Ghana, the unemployment, why won't you account for the people who lost their jobs in the budgetary year? And you only come and tell me that I've created 15.
So if someone loses their job and the person is actively searching, automatically the unemployment rate
okay,
goes
so
up.
then talk about unemployment rate.
Yes, they don't. Why should he talk about unemployment rate? No, but there's a part in the budget where he says that they haven't done much, but they will keep doing. Yeah. The haven't done much part worries me because to me they haven't done anything. Because I haven't seen any new business spring up. Like planting for food and jobs. One of the reasons why some of us were like, at least somebody's tackling agriculture for this country, which is a resource we have that we have wasted over the years. We have land. Sometimes, actually, when you have too much blessings, it's a curse. And Ghana is a clear example. If we did not have the things we have, our brains would have been thinking faster as to how to improvise, how to store, how to preserve the little we can get. Because, of course, when Russia-Ukraine war happens, Ghana is affected. When COVID happens, Ghana is affected. But because we have a lot and we have in abundance, we relax. We're not here that we're talking about onion shortage. Onion shortage because something was happening in Burkina Faso right here. We are in this country when we have planting for food and jobs. They couldn't do any, buffer stock couldn't help us. We had to say, hey, shortage of onion, prepare. Very soon you start eating jollof without onion. What is jollof without onion? Like, seriously, this country is just... So when they read, and I want to understand the people who were clapping, what were they clapping for?
That's the thing for me. Like, when the finance minister finished...
No, the people who were clapping are not...
But his staff, it's his staff.
Like, what exemption? The 0% on the VAT, the part, which is something that should have been done a long time ago. And how many... Wait, so that's question mark. How many companies have they done, like, what's the percentage of the demand on Ghanaian parts? Or how much of the demand do they meet?
The companies we have here would not be able to provide for all the women.
Say yes, we've done something great. We are clapping, yes, like imports. They've reduced the imports on VAT. But if YAS cannot afford the demand, like they can't meet the demand, we will still import and it will still be higher. Preference is people's preference, but preference, they forget you want to use always. Someone wants to use YAS, but YAS will become cheaper. So at least the lady in the village who has to sleep with somebody to get money to buy sanitary, and it actually happens. It's like really, really terrible. She literally has to sleep with somebody to get sanitary pad. That would stop. Right? At least because it will become more affordable. Yeah. But how about making sure that YAS can afford that market? Like they can meet it. Or there are 3 companies. Let me not just give all the credit to YAS. So I was surprised that seriously, Fatex still survived. Fatex those days, like Fatex was like the top before all the imported ones came to take all our attention. Fatex is there, and then there's AfriPride. Let's give them, how about, the budget should have said, okay, so we are empowering these companies with 3 million Ghana cedis or $3 million US to increase production so that capacity can go up and meet the demand. So we don't have to import. Because already our import is too much. So you do exactly holistic approach. You do one and you don't do the other. And then Ghanaians will still feel the heat of it because I really think that the budget was macro. There was nothing about it that I feel as an individual is going to change my impact me in any positive way. Seriously.
He also made a statement in the budget that they've secured money to rebuild the La General Hospital. But what he said was they would go to site next week and do an appreciable amount of work. So how then do we judge what is appreciable and what is not appreciable? There's no sense of accountability.
The one who is no school friend.
I'm looking for my mentor says when you set your goals, tells you please your objectives are not smart. My lecturer said this objective. What you see, blanket statements.
Yeah.
We will do the Ghanaian, all of us, the politicians especially, we are doing this. We will do this.
Yeah.
We have done this.
Yeah.
How will I judge that you've done appreciable work? Maybe appreciable work in your books is grading and foundation. Let's set the target. Let's be realistic. So that the people in land knows that, in 2023, they'll come and clear the ground. They'll do a foundation. In 2024, we'll come to lintel. In 2025, we'll do a ceiling. Then we start finishing. If you tell me appreciable work, and why the hell did they even break it in the first place?
Yeah.
Why couldn't they do renovations from people actually are in buildings and then you move?
Tell you the financial cost of
breaking that building
and not was them not replacing it in the past 7 years or five years. You know, the opportunity cost, the cost of it in terms of health care for the people in that area. That's what he should also be thinking of, talking about.
One side and then they leave the other. Then because as usual, Ghanaians they say what our memory is short. We won't remember.
Cost and benefit analysis.
In 2024, they'll still get votes.
So look, to conclude on the negative sides, you see, none of the budgets that we've read in a long while has given us any hope into the next year. Because the problems we have revenue generation problems. We have expenditure problems, inflated budgets. You know, and look, this is a government I fought against, the NDC under Mahama's government, but one finance minister that, I'm appreciating more now is Seth Tekpe. So Seth Tekpe wasn't only talking about revenue generation side, through taxation and all. He was talking about expenditure side too. So they'll do gift mix. They are putting budgetary systems in place so that ministries don't overspend their budget, reducing the deficit, cutting expenditure. It was so huge that some things that ministries needed to do and all of them were cut consistently year on year because we're in an IMF program at the time. You don't get the sense in this one.
You don't care. Bro.
You see, systems in place, digital systems in place to lodge expenditure, and then when your ministry crosses a certain threshold, it's cut. So it's and we don't talk about that exactly. What he used to call it was fiscal discipline. Yeah. That's a key word that ran through Setekpe's budgets for 3 good years. So much that social projects or social intervention, any particular expenditure that does not pay for itself or generate revenue was cut. It had social consequences. At the time, I was a journalist. I wrote about it. I wrote an article that, look, Setekpe, the economy is about lives, not a paper you are going to write to get A. Because he was that strict about it that he wants to meet expenditure thresholds.
But wait, you're talking about fiscal discipline.
We are not talking about that.
Fiscal discipline for who? For a government that ran free SHS on a deficit budget. We can't.
Look at the revenues they are generating and their expenditure. Expenditure is more than what they are generating.
Now wait, the worst of it all is Bank of Ghana. Who is supposed to be the check when it comes to fiscal discipline?
It's even the most indisciplined institution.
Now
when
we go back
to the budget, there are cores and then revenue generation. And last time when we're talking about the tax issue, I was like, but come to think of it, GRA always meets its tax revenue obligations. They always go past it. So how do you get the gas to come and say, it is the revenue we are not generating is your fault. You are not paying enough taxes. The target you set for your revenue generation body, they always exceed it. But nobody talks about the expenditure side. The expenditure side only appears in scandals. Scandals in the media.
Unless somebody comes to leak some documents, we won't know what
that procurement. That there's an investigation going on now that about 90% of government procurement have been single sourcing, sole sourcing, and restricted tendering.
So single sourcing is different and sole sourcing different. This country, they do sole sourcing.
A lot of
they
sole
go always
sourcing
to the people that they have. So the government gives an allowance, and the allowance for sole sourcing is limited when it's an emergency. So you can't open up. You can't open up for everybody to tender, or maybe the time is too short, or security concerns. These people, they don't do that too. Everything was sole source. Single sourcing, that one you open up to people, but you have a team of
there's
people.
Restricted tendering
normally is used for security service.
So 90% is through this sources. So there's inflated budgets, all kinds of things. And the budget never deals with that. Now let's talk about the positives that are there.
Okay.
We have talked about the negatives, so let's talk about positives.
Yes.
The exemptions.
Yes.
And let's start one by one. We've talked about the sanitary pass one and the problems that have to. Then they said exemptions, zero import duty on electric vehicles for commercial transport purposes. I mean, when did electronic vehicles? When did electronic vehicles even enter our conversation?
Oh, but it's not a bad idea.
So yes, tell me why we need it next year.
Okay.
Out of all the things,
next year, I don't know, but of course our priorities are always missed. But it's a good thing. So sustainability.
It's not even an ecosystem. Can your energy provision? Can you?
It's just like Nigeria saying. It's just like Nigeria saying they should import electric cars.
like my point is, do you have enough energy generation capacity? Yes. Truly, every car that is coming into this country hears this. Every importation of cars, because of this, becomes electronic. Do you have the systems to provide the energy to power them?
This is a government that didn't build infrastructure and then just went into free SHS. So
give it somewhere else. Like, give that exemption to something else. Please, someone should explain. Because electronic cars have never been in our conversation. So when did it come? When did this happen? Like, let's go to the second. This is supposed to be a positive. Please, let me just discipline myself. The next one is what?
The positive part of the electronic car, we are talking about, global warming, whether we like it or not, it's affecting all of us. So this is our way of gradually
also fighting global warming.
Yes, fighting global warming, right? Yeah. But of course, we are not. That's mixed priorities. This is not the time. Your people that don't even have money to eat.
Let me give you an example. Germany is the champion of green energy in the world today because they have a huge history of coal, fossil fuels. There's a whole town, North Rhine-Westphalia. In fact, Dortmund and whatever, the walls are black. People's house, a whole town, a whole city, a whole whatever, the walls are black from coal. And then they decided that they were shifting to renewable energy and they became #1 in renewable energy in the world. When Russia-Ukraine happened and then there were issues with whatever, they went back to coal with snap of a finger.
Yeah.
My point is, there's no country in Africa that has the obligation for renewable energy versus fossil fuels because the damage we have done to our environment, 3% of it is not even coming from Africa. My point is, you have pressing issues to talk about.
No, but if you make that, it means we shouldn't contribute to global warming. No, I'm not
saying don't contribute. That's why I'm coming to my point. You have pressing issues in the next year. This is a budget for next year. This is not a budget for the next 10 years. No,
it's but 2024. This is for a period.
Yes,
it's for 8 years.
But it's captured in the 2024 budget. And you have the leeway of passing exemptions on important things. When does electronic cars and green energy enter?
Electronic commercial cars.
You know what I'm saying? You have pressing things.
Priorities, priorities.
To think about.
Please, I want to correct the single sourcing and sole sourcing people. So single sourcing is what the government does. Sole sourcing is when normally there's only one supplier for that thing in the country or in the jurisdiction. So that when they don't have an option, they have to go for that person. But this government, How many advertisers do we have in this country? How many people do we have that do videography and photography? They still use the same person year and year. Now, should we open keys?
Please. So
let's go and have a tagger. So that's the correction. Please.
Exactly. So far, you see, as they said, you have to do the necessary before you do the what? The classy or what? Oye ni say answer ni fata. And now before you do before you do the whatever. So for the electronic things, please, it's not in anybody's conversation. Nobody's planning to buy electronic cars. No, but we don't even know where we are going to charge them at. We don't even know whether we have the capacity to do it. We are not responsible for any energy, whatever. Let's get food to eat first. Let's reduce our inflation first. Let's reduce our import versus export trade deficits first.
Encourage more
before we come and be talking about those things. What's the next exemption?
Food
Give us but please, it's a positive. I'm trying to discipline myself. It's a positive. What's the next one?
They also have the environmental excise duty, so that to fight plastics, industrial emission, and all of that.
All that is towards global warming.
But we have a plastic waste problem in Ghana, so that's good.
Yes, we do.
So then, if you are taxing the people more, but first account for the sanitation tax, the plastic waste. There was already a plastic waste tax already. Account for what you have used the money for. The last time we spoke to the sanitation ministry, I was representing a client and wanted exemption on a few things, and then they confessed to us that they have the money sitting down, almost $1 billion sitting down, and it's at the Ministry of Finance. They can access it for what they need to. It's for the taxes that have accrued.
You really think Ministry of Finance has $1 billion there?
For incentivizing plastic waste management, innovation, and all of that. And the money is sitting down.
You know, they have
you want to come and collect more of that money.
They have the way to move it into consolidated fund to do something based on the government's description that something is happening in the country.
The ones that you have taken already, in whichever way, they are going to take more. They are going to discourage people from plastic, whatever.
Please,
no problem. What's the next exemption, please? There's an exemption or something else. Agri implements and then machinery. And then pharmaceutical, raw materials and pharmaceutical stuff.
That's a good one.
So that's good.
Because drugs have become like really expensive. So that's a good one.
And then what else? They said commercial property
tax from 15 to 5%.
15% to 5% to what? To reduce administration bottlenecks. Let's see how that goes. And then well, I think I've run through the positives, or there are a few more.
There are a few more. Depends on who is who. If you want the rhetorics of the grammar that was read, people also can't simply intended. So yeah, but if you want the measurable ones, the one that we can say this is what was said and this is what we have seen.
Oh, they said there's the lofty objective of reducing inflation rate from 30% and plus more that it is now to single digit.
No, so the single digit target for Ghana has always been 8 plus or minus 2. So maximum we want to ever make inflation is 10%.
That's you dreaming.
But how do you set a target from 30 to 8? So and then based to achieve that,
to set smart goals.
To achieve
because it has to be attainable.
But to achieve that, you need to seriously increase economic growth.
Budget without smart goals.
Including budget. This budget, it is a bye-bye budget. This budget, it is shallow.
Yeah.
That is just the way. They've come to use grammar to confuse us. And as usual, Ghanaians have bought into this thing and they are clapping and yes, I don't get the clapping. They have to come explain to me.
When the finance minister was going to his ministry and his staff were lined up and were clapping for him,
maybe they were fanfooling him or us.
They're fanfully playing thing for this country.
My guy.
Oh my God.
They are applauding themselves for even trying enough to put a budget together. You should be thankful that they put a budget together. Do you know what it takes to stand on your feet for 2 hours and read a document? That is what they are clapping for, not the content of the document. Well, let me be petty small. Why don't they ever show up on time to read that damn document? And why do they even read it? If you literally have to read dito, just share it. Let's read it ourselves. We can read it. This is not Nunane's class. This is not Nunane's reading class. We can read it. Then come and answer questions.
That's the most important part, actually.
I don't want to hear you read.
Our parliament doesn't actually get the chance to get to
interrogate
the budget and ask questions. They'll go and sit as a committee to do all the discussions, and most of the time...
Why are they always late? They'll say 10 o'clock and then they start reading around 3 p.m.
They've not finished printing.
So there should really be a drive to provide a conducive environment to raise younger entrepreneurs. I have friends whose businesses have sunk just because conditions are not conducive. Like, there should be that conscious drive to, even if in a year or in the next 4 years, the country want to raise this number of entrepreneurs. By intentionally doing that, these are things we should look out to, and not provide a budget that doesn't give any hope. And to me, it's a burden on citizens. The politician throws the word transformational around. Like a politician, you realize that your life is at a standstill or is even retrogressing. And politicians come and describe your state as transformational. Like, transformational is Singapore building from a third world to a first world in 3 decades. Or in 2 decades. That's transformational. And Dubai, in 3 decades, transforming from a hopeless desert state to whatever they are now. That is transformational. Yeah. Well, maybe transformational is the fact that there has been no debt restructuring since at some point in time, and there is now. I think that is also transformational. So, let me answer the question. You say what? The budget, is it a burden on citizens or a path to recovery? When you are in coma and then you recover to a bedridden, that is recovery. Maybe, I don't know. But to be fair, Treasury bills has told me, I was afraid that they were going to say debt restructuring is going to catch Treasury bills, but it hasn't.
Bonds are supposed to be the safest bonds in the entire world. And for the first time, people can go and put their money in government bonds. That's the problem. Whichever way, is it a burden on citizens? Or me right now, I really don't know what to think about it. Because
I really don't see...
None of the burdens have been addressed.
So I don't see a new burden. There's been no new addition. So e-levy has still been left at 1%. It wasn't increased. We are safe there. VAT is still 21.9. That burden still maintains. It wasn't increased. It wasn't reduced. CIT maybe will reduce, because that's a conversation they are having with GRA. Even that is a conversation they are having with GRA to reduce corporate income taxes so that businesses can grow. Because if we want to reduce inflation, then it means that economic growth must seriously go up so that income, GDP is better. So it means you have to give businesses the chance, room to grow. And if you're taking 20, 21, 25% of my income, like my profits after tax, of course, I won't, as a business owner, I won't keep investing in there. So yes, so for me, I'm on the buy. I don't see any burden and I don't see any recovery. It's a bye-bye budget. They are leaving office.
Yeah. So what do you make of this budget? Does it give you hope? Are you looking forward to next year? Let us know your thoughts. And whilst you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Until then, we're out. Bye-bye.